Franchise Fit Podcast, another fabulous episode coming at you today. I have Daniel McCarty. Daniel McCarty is the CEO and founder of JunkStart. It's not just another junk removal franchise. The audience, I know all of you are thinking the same thing. We've talked about a lot of painting franchises, a lot of trades and home service brands. You got to stay tuned to this one.
Up next,
kind of like lets you be on the same side as the customer and like, hey, we're charged by weight, so are you. So like, if you want to add more weight or less weight, like we're here with you, and it's really a much more, partnership kind of feel to the consumer relationship.
I did love your description of what does happen with a typical junk removal company. I'm not going to name names.
So we really want our entrepreneurs to join to build a lot of revenue and density in their population and build real enterprise value. Like, we're not trying to give you a small enough territory where it's only you and your stepbrother and you're the only people you can afford to operate the truck. That is fundamentally not the business model that we're in.
This episode sponsored by SEO Samba. Empower your franchise with predictable results and AI-driven marketing. Daniel, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Lance. Happy to be here.
I am excited for you to be here. So I want to know, what is that one differentiator? If there's one, I got that audience on the edge of their seats for you now, buddy. What is that one differentiator? Why JunkStart versus everyone else?
Yeah, so JunkStart is the first and only pay-by-weight junk removal company. You go, what does that mean? So every other company in our space charges loosely based off of volume or how much room the items may take up in their space. And so the inside baseball is customer would call in and say, hey, I've got some couches. How much is it? You would go, let's do a free on-site estimate. You would try and get your 22-year-olds into their driveway. You'd compliment their yard. You would go, yeah, that looks like about half a truck, so probably $500. And then the customer either goes, okay, great, or they go, oh my God, no way. And you start kind of a haggling, well, I'd do it for 100, and then your guys go back and forth. And it was really just a horrible consumer experience. And so the insight we had is, hey, you're charged by weight when you go to the landfill. Like, why are we trying to convolute this process and charge our customers based off of volume? And so we figured out a way to put scales on our trucks. We charge simply by the pound, and we became the first and only pay-by-weight junk removal company, and it transformed our business.
So it's like a yogurt place.
Yes, exactly like that. And we were talking about that off air. I was with my wife the other day at one of those places, and we fill up all of our toppings, and we get to the end of the counter, and I go, oh my God, it was $22. And I didn't get mad at the restaurant. I just said, wow, I got really heavy stuff. So it kind of like lets you be on the same side as the customer and like, hey, we're charged by weight, so are you. So like, if you want to add more weight or less weight, like we're here with you. And it's really a much more, partnership kind of feel to the consumer relationship.
I did love your description of what does happen with a typical junk removal company. I'm not going to name names, but I do know that it does seem arbitrary at times. If I have a couch and I have a dresser and I have all this other crap or whatever it might be, junk, let's just say, and it just seems sort of random because 3 different junk removal companies might quote you 3 different things. And you taught me something. What is the grandma tax?
Yeah, the grandma tax, that came out of, I was interviewing a guy that used to work at a really big junk removal company. With the phone number in its name. And they had a thing where they were only allowed so many on-site cancellations while they were working during a week. So they would show up and they would say, yeah, $500. And if the customer wanted to haggle, there's only so many of those they would be able to do in a week or else they got in trouble from their manager. And so what they ended up doing is say they needed to charge $500, but the customer negotiated them down to 200. They would go to the next job. It's usually a sweet little old lady or a grandma. And instead of charging her $200, they charge her $500 to make back their lost margin. And inside baseball, we used to call that the grandma tax. That's what the guy told me. And I said, oh my gosh, you guys actually have a word for this. And it set off that entrepreneurial volcano in my brain. I was like, this is so stupid and arbitrary. like such a bad thing for customers. There's got to be a better way, and it embarked on this journey to then figure out how to do pay by weight junk removal, and it really changed the whole business.
So tell me also, your territories are really large, because that's one of the gripes that I've gotten as a franchise broker as I'm taking anybody through the process, whether it's a senior home care franchise, home services, business services. I'll get a candidate at times, a client that says, well, that sounds like a small territory. So in most cases, they're not necessarily aware what it even takes to encompass a territory. But I just happen to know you have really large territories. And what are those territories, and how are those? Is it by population? Is it by household? What is it?
Yeah, so it's by population. So we embarked on this journey and studied every other junk removal brand, what they did well, what they didn't do well. And what we ended up finding out is there's a lot of these Me Too junk removal brands, just like any other Me Too painting concepts. And they're small territories, around 400,000 people. And really, the only way I can see how they would, the entrepreneur can make a living is if they're the only one in the truck, right? Or maybe they get up to 2 trucks. And really, in our model, it's built on having multiple trucks, building real enterprise value, scaling a commercial sales team. Like we're really targeting high-end entrepreneurs that want to build enterprise value. And so you need a market to go along with that. And so we decided to offer most of our competitors around 400,000 people in their population. Our midpoint is going to be about 685,000 people. And you can flex up or down a little bit within the territory, anywhere from about 550 up to almost 900,000 people. We do it on a sub-territory model. So we really want our entrepreneurs to join to build a lot of revenue and density in their population and build real enterprise value. Like we're not trying to give you a small enough territory where it's only you and your stepbrother and you're the only people you can afford to operate in a truck. That is fundamentally not the business model that we're in.
Excellent. I want to understand your criteria. You're a smart guy. I want your criteria. I want you to tell the audience, if you were them, how should they look at what a good business is, especially in the franchise market? There's a lot of franchises to choose from. You're a smart guy. I want to hear what your definition of a great business is.
Yeah, thank you, Lance. That's a great question. So this is probably not a hot take, and I don't mean this in a other than just you're asking me my opinion. Here it is. I think 99 out of 100 businesses are not worth owning. I think 99 out of 100 franchises aren't worth starting. I think 99 out of 100 startups aren't worth starting. I think where we are right now in the market cycle is the world does not need the 514th like Me Too painting brand in your local market. Certainly not in the national market. So I mean, like you've really got to focus on like how am I providing value to the customer in a way that they can't readily find someone else to do it for cheaper. And it really comes down to like business strategy 101. Like we are too far down in the cycle, I think, to just throw up your shingle and I want to be my own boss, so I'm going to be a painter and I'll just do some Facebook ads and it'll all work well. Like you're really not setting yourself up for success. You need to either have a differentiator that helps you be the lowest cost provider to your consumer, or is different enough that your consumer will pay more and stay longer when they choose you. And so I would be thinking about, hey, like where can I carve out a niche? Where can I apply my skill sets, my individual talents, skills, resources, background, combined with a business model that actually consumers want to pay for in my local market. And so that is where JunkStart has sort of come from, is like you either have to be the lowest cost producer and provider, I believe. You've got to be able to fundamentally be bigger, faster, stronger, better. And most people say, well, I'm better, and then have no real substantive argument behind that. They just, oh, I'm better. And that's the hardest argument in the world to make to your customer, because they hear that all day long from advertising. Or you have to be different, and then once you're different, like, does that mean it's cheaper to acquire customers? They'll pay more to be with you, and they'll stay longer. Like that's the ultimate framework that you've got to get to. And with JunkStart, we're lucky enough to find a differentiated model that is both better for the customer, they value it more, they're willing to pay more for it, and it's a better business model for the entrepreneur.
Well, weighing your junk is certainly a big differentiator. What I want to hear next is tell me about this journey where you already built your $1 million territory, corporate territory. Tell us how you're going to do that for franchisees. Obviously, you did not start, I shouldn't say obvious, but you did not start by weighing your junk, so to speak, in the very beginning. And,
Right.
you have these large territories. Talk about gross margins and talk about that journey for all franchisees if they're following this model and the success they could have.
Yeah, so to back up, I started as a volume-based junk company. My plan was to do it just like everyone else has always done it, just to be a little bit better, right? So when I said that last line about that's not a great strategy, it's only because out of the knowledge that I just screwed up early on, thinking that, oh, I could be just like everyone else, maybe a little bit better. And so I went down for years trying to be the undifferentiated junk company number 415th in Texas. And it was an uphill battle. It was like paddling upstream. Like the market did not need that brand to exist. And I could tell you when we finally figured out a way to pivot around then, we became the first and only pay-by-weight junk removal company with patent pending onboard scales. Like we created a real differentiated value to our customers. We quickly flipped the boat, started pedaling, downstream at 100 miles an hour, and it feels like we're whitewater rafting. So I can't even describe how much better it feels when you find kind of product market fit. That's a startup term, but it's certainly true in any small business as well. And so we went from very mundane revenue numbers to we're over 100% revenue growth just from changing from volume-based to pay-by-weight. Our gross margins went from like 40-something% to almost 70%. And you go, wow, why is that? A couple of reasons. One, with volume-based, you have a 22-year-old that is standing out there arguing with your customer over what the price is. And price is the number one determinant of your gross margin. So if your 22-year-old had his girlfriend broke up the night before, or he had, a heavy lunch, his pricing is all over the place. And your margins, you'll lose $100, you'll make $100. There's no rhyme or reason. It was so frustrating. With ours, we look at our COGS, we set the price, whatever, 60 cents a pound, whatever it's going to be in your local market, and it's based off your actual cost of goods sold. And so that was the main lift in our pricing, in our gross margin numbers. Also, when you charge by volume, if you ever bought potato chips in the past couple of years, you ever notice shrinkflation? So like more and more air, less and less chips in the bag. That's also what's happening with our volume-based competitors. So their trucks are getting smaller and smaller. Like I could fit one in the back of my pocket. With pay-by-weight, like our trucks are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so we could drive operating efficiencies. I can do more jobs in a day before having to take two guys, drive across town to go hit a landfill than my volume-based competitors. Like we're going to be able to have our gross margins continually creep up over time as we wring out those operating efficiencies. So that's one of the main things. And then lastly, B2B
Commercial.
revenue. We were 95% B2C, just like every other junk removal brand. We pick up your couch, your refrigerator, you call us. You're beholden to the Google algorithm, right? The overlord. And it's really hard to have control of your own destiny in that situation. And so once we switched to pay-by-weight, we found a huge market in our B2B commercial property service sector that is now over 50% of our revenue. So we went from 95% B2C to now majority of our revenue is B2B. It's about twice the average ticket. It's still really great margins. It's harder for other Me Too brands to service because there's insurance requirements, right? There's like a professionalism involved in it. They don't like hearing, why was that bill $215? And the guy goes, I don't know, it looked like half a truck. Like they like to be able to say, hey, that was X pounds. Like they give it to their boss. Like we found a real product market fit in there. And so like those are some of the reasons I think that I would not buy like a Me Too junk removal undifferentiated brand, some of our competitors with like a 400,000 person population. If my family was coming to me, even though I like the junk industry, and they're like, hey, I'm thinking of opening up XYZ Me Too concept in Nashville. Do you think I should do it? And I said, depends. Do you have 5 years to waste of your life? And like you want to own very average returns, like and barely get off the truck. Versus with JunkStart, it's like, do you want to build true enterprise value? Like, do you want to build a business that doesn't rely on you in the truck? Like build a team of teams. Like, do you want to drive commercial revenue in your local market and local relationships and build out a marketing ecosystem that helps you drive forth the brand? The differentiated brand, right, that consumers like, telling an interesting concept. Like there's so many great things about JunkStart that it's just night and day different than like the volume-based Me Too guys.
I love this, and I love hearing your passion. I mean, you guys are getting out of the gate with franchising now. You have a whole team you've developed, so marketing. Let's talk about, I don't know, you probably do call it the Fast Start, Junk Start marketing program. What does that look like for a franchisee? Because the first question any new franchisee asks has to do with customer acquisition. How do their phones start ringing? What are you doing to help them with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like when it comes down to business, it's like how much does it cost to acquire a customer, and then what's the lifetime value of that customer? And so we have found that like our cost to acquire customers is dramatically decreased because we have a differentiated, truly differentiated concept. It's a value prop consumers love. We've got this enormous, blue ocean in the B2B market, right? That we're not having to compete tooth over nail to get in front of. And then our pricing margins or revenue or gross margins are so much higher that our lifetime value is much higher. So like we're trying to solve that each and every day. As far as lead gen, that is a core capability that we both have and we're continuing to develop each and every day. So it starts with our director of marketing, Devin Beavis, who's previously co-founded a senior care brand. He's come from a number of really well-known home service brands. We've got our chief marketing officer, Leanne Caruso, who's a rock star in the franchising space. And we're all about driving like a wonderful digital strategy from corporate, right? Like on how to get leads into your door, equipping you with the right vendor partnerships to drive, direct advertising leads to your door, and then giving you a wonderfully built out, time-tested local commercial sales strategy to where you can go out and knock on the door while your digital advertising is working in the background as well. So that's the one thing that if you just wait for the phone to ring from Google, like it could feel like you're kind of waiting on your heels. But we developed, hey, while you're doing that, you also can go out, beat down the doors. We've got active campaigns on how to drive revenue while you're not just waiting for Google. And out of experience, right, when you first open your business, I don't care who you are, the phone does not just ring off the hook, right? And so like it can be a scary time when you open your doors after all this time, and then you're looking at your phone and you're like, did I plug it in, right? Like I vividly remember that my first week of business. I was like, oh my God, I was so worried that we're not going to have the capacity and enough people to answer the phones and all this. And it was crickets for the first like week, and it's like, holy cow. And like, that's business though. So like we've created, like, we now know obviously how to drive a lead so your first day isn't crickets, but also like we've got the playbooks in place where you can go out and drive leads and do jobs while you're waiting on your digital marketing to whatever, reap what you sow.
So, the magic formula to getting a franchise business working right is by you selecting the right franchisees and building the right culture with franchisees. Who is not right for your brand, or who is right? I'm going to give you the choice to answer it how you wish. Sometimes it's easier to tell people what they don't want.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the blended approach for me is like we're looking for empire builders and not the side hustle folks. And so we have patent pending, like proprietary intellectual property, right? Our trucks are more expensive. We go after commercial markets that require more capital than the Me Too brands. Like we have markets that we're trying to build out and develop with advertising strategies. Like we are a sophisticated concept that's targeting property services, both B2B and B2C, and we need well-capitalized folks that know and want to grow like a large enterprise value business. Our goal is to reinvent junk removal so completely that we become the largest and most trusted brand in the galaxy. And you go, oh my God, the galaxy. That's right. Like, so our goal is to be the biggest in the world. And we can't do that if you're not the biggest in your local market. It's like if you don't look around and say, hey, I can absolutely be the biggest person in this market, then it's probably not the right fit. Because if you're not the biggest in your market, how are we supposed to be the biggest in our market, right? And so we're looking for well-capitalized folks that they don't want to 3 months into the business, like pull out all the cash, like hire 2 other people and just milk it as like a side hobby. Like we're looking for people that want to invest and build actual enterprise value, like build a middle management, invest in the right things to move like the multiple expansion over time for you to be able to build an asset that you're proud of. And that's what we're looking for. And the one thing I will say is this is not like a concept that's going to do well for folks that could barely afford it, that are asking about semi-absentee or semi-passive. I believe that there's some fundamental laws of the universe that Mr. Newton said. And like you're trying to start something from scratch. You're turning potential energy into kinetic energy. It is incredibly hard to start anything in this universe from scratch, right? And so the idea that you're going to invest a significant amount of money and hope to earn a profit by not really being involved is not something that I found to be true in life. And so like we're not even looking for those people that even have that thought. Like we did a story today. It's like most people, they get an A their second week of class and they go, cool. They skip class for a week. They get a C on the next one and they say, that's fine. I'll probably end up with a B, right? We're looking for entrepreneurs and coworkers of ours that get that first A and then they look up and they go, hey, what is the highest GPA anyone has ever gotten in this class? Okay, like that is the standard I'm going after. And I'm not going to just sit back and try and get a C and milk an average return over time. Like I want to be the biggest that's ever done this. Like we want to be the biggest brand in the galaxy that has ever been in junk removal. Like that's
right,
the standard of the type of people that we're doing. And that's just, I hope it comes across. Like we may not get there, but I promise you, like if I die, I'm going to get a hell of a lot closer there than I am today. And there's going to be scratch marks, bloody and crawled all around me, and I'm going to be facing that direction. And that's who we're looking for, is people that are fired up, that want to go do that.
Hey, if you shoot for perfection and you fall short, you're still excellent. So I like your attitude. I get it. You want owner-operators. When you talk about well-capitalized, what is that amount? What is the item 7 showing as an average? You're starting off with a couple of trucks, because you don't want that Chuck in a truck or Stan in a van, so to speak. You want someone that's going to come out of the gate and buy a couple of vehicles?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you buy one territory with us, which is a larger territory, you're starting with 2 trucks minimum, and the investment midpoint's about $300,000. If you start with 2 territories, so over 1 million people in population, you're starting with 3 trucks, and that's about a $425,000 like midpoint item 7 investment number. So.
And financing available, of course. We'll do SBA financing for the right individuals, which is most people, as long as you have good credit and creditworthiness and good history, that is.
Absolutely. The trucks are bankable. There's fixed assets involved in this, so it's not just all goodwill, right? There's actual capitalizable equipment involved in this.
All right, so I have to know, you've been an amazing guest. I love your energy. I love everything you're doing. I love your points of differentiation. Give some advice if someone in the audience they're obviously looking to buy a business or buy a franchise. Maybe they're on the fence. They're not sure. Maybe even JunkStart. How should they think about that decision? What's your advice?
That's a great point. So I would start thinking through structurally. What are my comparative advantages? That's something that we talk about a lot. Like, why me? Why now? Why this opportunity? If all you want is, I know that I want to be my own boss, and you're not thinking through structurally, like, what are the past experiences I can leverage? Like, what are my relationships in the community? What is my sales background or ops background? Like, what is the market right now in my current market? What are the headwinds and the tailwinds I'm seeing? Like, is there room for JunkStart in my market? Do I think that there is a structural fit here? Because if all you do is go, I don't know, painting sounds fine, I'll open up this franchise and hope it works well, I think your odds of success are much lower if you take a sophisticated view of, like, hey, how do I play an unfair game? Like, ultimately, as entrepreneurs, like, you don't get extra bonus points for playing the game on hard, right? Like, you're trying to find and crawl and scratch and find any different advantage that you can get, because it's going to take all of it. And so, like, if you could put a little smarter people on your team joining a franchise, if you can add a little bit of differentiation, if you've got a background in this, if you've got a cousin that knows, this person, like, it takes every bit of scrappy entrepreneurial drive for you to get from 0 to 1, right? Like, it's really, I think, that important to think through, like, why am I the right person to bring this to the market? What can I bring? And I really think if more people thought about that, I think they would really increase their odds of success in any startup franchise, ETA kind of acquisition. I think all of that really needs to be like, why does this business need to exist? Like, does it really need to exist? And then why am I the right person to bring it to market? And those are the 2 questions I would ask.
Daniel, you've been a fabulous guest, founder of JunkStart. I look forward to meeting you face-to-face soon, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Lance.